Welcome, first-time listeners and returners to the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. What about f***ing Colin? Why does he not have a f***ing job? Because he's still being whiteballed. Why is Tom not speaking out about that? He should be his biggest f***ing ally, and he hasn't said one f***ing thing. It's a lot of Jim Rome in the jungle. It's right here in the Sports Deli, baby. We got some good-ass karma right here. Let's fucking go. We hope you enjoy today's show, everyone. We're so honored on the day after 9/11 to welcome as a part of our 50th anniversary Title IX celebration series, Bianca Smith, the first African-American woman to serve as a professional baseball coach in Major League Baseball. She grew up in Texas. She then attended Dartmouth in the Ivy League, where she played softball as a walk-on outfielder and also played club baseball. Interestingly, her parents also went to Dartmouth, where her father played football for the Big Green, while her mother obtained her law degree. Coach Smith is the fifth lawyer that we've had on the show, interestingly. She once thought she wanted to be a general manager of a major league franchise, but now she wants to be a major league manager. She's worked with the Texas Rangers and Cincinnati Reds organizations and is now with the Boston Red Sox. She was born the same year as Mike Trout. She's had sponsorships with Nike, Oakley, and Topps, just to name a few. And you can find her on Instagram and Twitter at Bianca Smith 12. So honored that you're joining us here today. Just before you put your phone on Do Not Disturb for the next week in the Sports Deli here, where everyone deserves a seat at the table, especially women, where all decisions are made, should have women at seats at those tables for sure.
Well, thanks for having me.
So wait, do they call you B Money or Smitty, or what do your players call you?
Oh, bunch. Those are two of the nicknames I've had. B, Beezy.
Beezy.
Marcelo calls me B Dog.
B Dog.
Whatever they want to call me. I've got some of my Latin players will call me Bianchi.
I love it. I love nicknames. Nicknames just it actually, it makes you relatable. Like it's like an icebreaker. So that's pretty cool though. That's awesome. Okay, so your upbringing is interesting because are both your parents of color?
Yes.
Okay. And that's how you identify?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're a woman of color and your parents are men and women of color. They're African American. And so, I mean, to have gone to an Ivy League school then, right? Because we're probably about the same age, your parents and I. I'm 53.
Yeah.
And so, we talk a lot about that on the show, and there's a lot of different directions we can go. But I'm interested to know what it was like for you, not just to have your mom as a lawyer and your dad having played football as an athlete and seeing those types of things, but were you aware of the magnitude of them being African American at an Ivy League school, and what kind of impact did that have on you in terms of how groundbreaking that was to witness that?
Yeah, I didn't really realize the impact until I actually got to Dartmouth and I was kind of old enough to understand.
Hmm.
My dad actually used to tell me stories of like his first couple years he was there. He actually participated in a sit-in.
Wow.
Yeah, where they actually went and like protested and sat in the president's office. So, as a kid, I hear that and
For the same types of things we're protesting for, like after George Floyd kind of thing, or
yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
Wow, was that ever reported?
You know what? I never actually looked it up. I just listened to my dad's stories and never really researched it myself. Now I kind of want to.
But wait, what triggered it? What was going on? Was there inequality on campus, or was it facilities, or it had to have been something really.
I would have to ask him.
Wow.
Been a while since we've talked about that. I'll have to ask him again.
Man, that's amazing.
But I think
call Dad up real quick. Get him on the.
I think it was a mix. But like I said, I mean, I heard that story when I was young, so I definitely didn't understand how important it was until I actually got to school. Both my parents were involved in the African American Society. My mom helped found one of the dance groups on campus. My dad was the president of his fraternity, which was a African American fraternity. So they were very involved. And like I said, it didn't really hit me until I actually got there. And having grown up in Texas, I was used to being, one of the few African Americans at my school. So that wasn't anything new going to Dartmouth. But hearing the stories growing up and then being there and actually getting to see what they were involved in and what they had an impact in was very different. And then when they came up to visit, they revisited those stories again. So it was yeah, like I said, I didn't really realize it until I actually got there. And it's pretty cool to be able to have that history and that legacy. I mean, even more than just having followed my parents to the school, but knowing that they had lasting impacts on the school. My dad was class of 89. My mom was class of 90.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. So I don't want to fast forward too much, and because you talked about being one of the few African Americans and growing up in Texas. So, you were sort of in this in between generation, right? Where it wasn't the 60s. And then things were sort of either quiet or unlike what happened since 2016 when people came out of their holes to, be a little bit more outspoken about their true feelings. And there were more opportunities for women as we talk about Title IX. So did you feel like it was just normal, or did you face things that we hear about all the time, being the minority?
I did, but I also didn't realize it at the time.
Mm.
Um, I credit this to my parents where they raised me and my siblings. My sister was my sister's 4 years younger than me, and she was definitely more aware of when people, said things to us or, acted a certain way. For me, I was actually quite oblivious to a lot of it.
Mm.
And that's also just because I just choose not to get upset by a lot of, by a lot of things that are said. I think one of the first times I actually really noticed, I've had people, talk about my hair when I was a kid.
Mm.
And that took, it took me until I was probably about middle school, high school for me to realize that they were actually being negative.
Wow.
And then of course I've had the popular, I mean, not really popular, but common comment of, you sound white or you sound educated or, oh, you speak so proper. And I actually got that from white and Black people. So, I mean, like I said, as an elementary schooler, you don't really notice a lot of that stuff until
Right.
somebody points it out to you. And then as you get
Mm.
older, you start to notice it and it kind of clicks in your head and you're like, okay, wait a minute, that's probably not the best comment to be saying. So yeah, I definitely faced quite a bit of that as I got older. I noticed it more. Some people I called out, some people I didn't. I
Mm.
mean, probably the most common one was, of course, depending on how I wear my hair, because I went from natural to straightened to braids,
Right.
whatever, and I always had somebody who would ask if they can touch my hair, or they wouldn't say it, they wouldn't ask, they would just come up and touch me, and I would walk back and like, I'm not a dog. So yeah, I definitely experienced that growing up.
Did you play just softball, or were you like Jackie of all trades? Like, you did everything.
Not in our family. Everybody plays multiple sports growing up.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
started playing soccer at around 3 or 4. I also danced from the time I was 4 to 17. Um,
Wow.
I played soccer up until high school. I actually didn't start. I played softball because my mom made me have a backup sport. So that was my
Wow.
backup sport to soccer. And then I got cut 2 days into my freshman year of high school.
Wow.
And then I joined the softball team because the softball team didn't make cuts back then. So
Wow.
that's how I ended up playing softball. But I was soccer, dance. I did karate for a bit. Then I had to decide between karate and dance, and ended up choosing dance. And then, of course, we like dabbled in sports camps and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, I'm sadly the least athletic of all my siblings. And then when I got to college, yeah, I played varsity softball, club baseball, and I was a cheerleader all 4 years. And then I cheered a year during grad school as well.
Wow. That's incredible. At Case Western?
Yep.
So this is interesting. My best friend is an assistant women's basketball coach at K-State. Her brother went to school with you, law school with you at Case Western. I don't know if you guys knew each other. His name's Stephen Gregorio. But you were there at the same time. There was a slight overlap, and he's from Las Vegas, and he was there at the same time, because I was like, Case Western, when I was doing my research, I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's unbelievable. And so, you have your law degree, which we'll talk about later, following in mom's footsteps in that way. Man, that that is fascinating stuff. Wow. So you choose Dartmouth over who?
Nobody. It's
Oh,
the
it
only
was
school
it
I
was a
applied
foregone
to.
conclusion. Yeah.
No, my mom was not happy with me. I remember her once
Wow.
asking, what are, no, I mean, she was happy I got into Dartmouth.
Yeah, yeah.
She actually wanted me to go to Princeton though. And
Wow.
then thankfully I learned from this when I applied to grad school, but when I was applying to Dartmouth, I applied early decision. I was determined that's where I was going to go. I'd been saying it since I was 6. And then my mom once asked me, so what are your backup schools? And I just say, nonchalantly, oh, Yale, Penn. She's like, those aren't backup schools. So I had like half of the common application ready just in case, but I had no other applications done. I had nothing ready to turn in. I was just so determined, and it was either basically Dartmouth or bust. Like I had no backup plan whatsoever. So thank God I got in. That was actually, I guess that was my backup plan. Like for me, it was like, okay, if I don't get into Dartmouth, I'm going to go to, Yale or Princeton or Penn. I hadn't thought of anything else.
That's amazing. Is there anything else about your childhood that you wanted to share? I feel like there's something that I'm supposed to be asking, but that maybe you wanted to add to the conversation, but maybe not. Anything else that you experienced that was, that could teach kids, just about perseverance or representation for girls, because that's obviously something we're going to talk about. That's so important, to not quit. Because, I'm a professional basketball skills trainer. And so a lot of the kids that I get is like, oh, what's the point? I'm not going pro anyway. What it's about is far beyond going professional, right? It's about perseverance and self-sacrifice and, determination, the grind, and being a part of something bigger than yourself. And you don't realize a lot of those life skills until later.
I guess probably one of the biggest things I learned was that failure is actually not the problem. And I've had this, I've had parents ask, what's the best way to prepare their kids for trying to either go pro or go to college? And my answer is always let them fail. Like I hate the idea of participation trophies. I'm sorry. If you're not good, you're not good. That's not a bad thing. Either you keep working at it and try to get better, or you find something else that you are good at. And if you want to keep working, then fine. Like it's okay to fail. You learn better when you fail than when you succeed. And I tell our players, it's not when you fail that's the problem. It's how you respond to that. I mean, you look at baseball, you fail 7 out of 10 times and you're considered an all-star.
If you're lucky.
Yeah. But the ones who are truly the best aren't just the ones who are failing 7 out of 10 times. They're the ones who respond and learn from those 7 times that they failed. So that's one of the things I definitely had to learn as a kid is when I got cut from the soccer team, I was distraught. I mean, this is a sport I played for nearly 10 years. I'd given so much time to it. Now I've been invited to club teams. I thought I was going to go pro. And, then I played softball. I mean, it wasn't really, I couldn't throw. I was terrible. I used shot put. I mean, yeah, I've been watching baseball for years, but there's a difference between just watching it and trying to play it. And when you go from soccer to softball, where soccer's no hands at all, and softball, now you got to throw a ball.
Wow.
I did not know how to play at all. So when I joined the freshman team, they put me in middle infield. I was throwing shot put. They taught me how to throw sidearm. And that was just in the fall. And then after one semester, not even before I played a game, they threw me in the outfield because I was fast. Had no idea how to play outfield, didn't know how to throw overhand. I threw sidearm from center field for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And then my senior year of high school, broke my thumb first game of the season. Ended up just being a pinch runner. I could have quit, senior year, a freshman ended up taking my spot, but I stuck with it because, I made a commitment to my team.
Wow.
And I, ended up being a really good pinch runner. And that's actually how I joined the team at Dartmouth, was because of my speed. And then I even got hurt my senior year of college and couldn't play that either. So it's just, if it's something you really love to do, keep doing it, even if you might be bad. Just try to find ways to get better. Otherwise, stop complaining about it and go find something else that you're good at.
Yeah, what a testament to, just try something you never know. Also, a big part of. Did any of the baseball higher ups ever ask you about, any of those things, and did you ever share that in one of your interviews?
I'm sure I did. Mainly just, getting to know background and playing experience.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm very candid about the fact that I was not the best softball player. Part of that for me, I think, is because I only played 5 seasons.
Right.
Not even really. I played 4 seasons if you don't
4.
count my senior year of high school before I got to college. And then
Right.
I walked on my junior year, and I really only ran for one season because I was injured for the second. So total, I have about 5 years of actual playing experience. For me, I try to think of the positive. Like, I had 4 years of playing and I still managed to walk onto a D1 team. So imagine how good I could have been if I'd actually started earlier.
Amazing. Well, and you play club baseball too. How was that experience at Dartmouth? Because obviously it's a smaller ball. I don't know if it's faster necessarily, but it's a different arm angle coming at you. You know, it's man, wow,
Well, I actually found playing baseball easier than softball.
wow.
But part of it is also, so in Texas, my parents pretty much live in the same area. We've moved a couple of times, but it's just been like down the street.
Right.
So farther down the street is actually a set of batting cages that I used to go to all the
Wow.
time. But the only softball cage is slow pitch. So I
Oh
used
my
to
God.
practice in high school against the baseball machine. So I
Yeah.
got used to hitting a baseball with a softball bat.
Wow.
So I was used to that already. Like, I
Yeah.
actually, yeah, I was definitely better at baseball than I was softball. The arm angle didn't really bother me because once the ball's released, it's still coming at you kind of the same.
Yeah.
And the strategy is a little bit different because baseball, I was a right-handed hitter. Softball, I was a left-handed slapper.
Right.
So occasionally I actually hit from the left side on the club team. And I kind of mixed in slapping at the same time.
That's amazing.
Oh, yeah, no, the first time I did that, the other team was so confused because I came up righty first and then it came up lefty the second time. They're like, "This is the same person?" But I had a
That's
lot of
classic.
fun. I mean, I loved playing on the club team.
They accepted you like in everything. Like when you first came, wait, what was their reaction when you first came out? Like, did you surprise them? Like, hey, I'm here to try out. And they're like, for what? Or did you, give them some heads up beforehand?
I mean, I definitely told them I was going to come out. And I remember one of them saying, "Well, we almost had to accept you because you're the only one here who plays a varsity sport."
Oh my God.
I was already playing varsity softball. They're like, "Are
Right.
you good?"
Man, that's incredible. That's so great. Man, that if that doesn't show you that we've sort of progressed on some level, in terms of acceptance, that's so cool. So who did you guys play with the club teams? You play other D1s also, or was it more like D3s and D2s and stuff like that?
I'm trying to remember. You're asking me questions from like
I
10
know,
years
my
ago.
bad.
I think we played BC once.
Wow. That's
It,
legit.
it was just other club teams.
Yeah, yeah.
It
But
wasn't their
still they're
varsity.
good though, right? Like people don't realize club teams are good.
Well, it was our first year, so it
Oh,
was kind of hard
wow.
to find people to play. It had to be people nearby. But yeah, the year that I joined was, I think I joined maybe a month after they'd started up. So
Wow.
we were a brand new club team. We didn't even have a coach. We were, we had our president and our captain was putting the lineup together. They were finding all of the people to play. They were figuring out travel, transportation. So like we didn't play at Dartmouth at all. We didn't have a field.
Wow.
We always played away. So yeah, most of the schools we played were in Boston.
Wow, that's amazing.
I think
That's
we
so
even drove
cool.
ourselves.
Right? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's incredible. So, Kelsey Whitmore is the first, professional women's player to start a professional game. And, it's because of all these women. We've had Judy Sweet on the show, first female president in the history of the NCAA, all these SHEros and queens, that have laid the foundation so that girls now, like you talked about earlier, can have these opportunities that, I hope they really understand the history of it and how, people have sacrificed like you to, make things like this happen. And, being a walk-on, that's like amazing also. Ozzie Smith is probably one of the most famous walk-ons in the history of Major League Baseball. There's been others in other sports. And so then after college, was it a foregone conclusion that you were going to go to law school, or what? Tell us, what was your mindset then?
Not yet. Honestly, even deciding I was gonna work in baseball was a complete turnaround. I spent 12 years thinking I was gonna be a veterinarian. And
Unbelievable.
yeah, once I took my first biology class, I was like, this is not gonna work out. I love science, I love math, but I was not, first of all, I wasn't waking up for my class. It was 8:30 in the morning. Like I can't even get up for the class, let alone pay attention. Um, After college, my first thought really was I definitely need to go to grad school
Mhm.
because most of the people, when you decide you want to work in sports, a lot of people decide that high school or early college, they get a summer internship. I had none of that. Really, all I had was my playing experience and working for the baseball team, which was limited, especially once I joined the softball team, since we played at the same time.
Right.
So I knew I needed to get more experience. And I figured the graduate degrees would also help background wise at the same time. Like, this was also when I thought I wanted to be a general manager. So
Right.
I knew I needed business. I initially started asking people, should I do, a master's in sports management or an MBA? Everybody said MBA. So I actually started at Case Western in the business school first. And this was after taking a year off because, you go get your MBA, they want you to have work experience. So I took a year off. I was going to take a second year and my mom said, nah, forget it. Just apply. If you don't get in, then you take a second year, but at least try.
Right.
So glad she did. I think I wouldn't have been happy if I had to take 2 years off.
You lost your mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of worked out because I graduated a couple of months after I turned 21. So I was already young. So it gave me a little bit, like, I was finally the same age as my classmates. Well, not true. The business school I wasn't. I was still young, but the law school I was.
Yeah.
So like I said, I started at the business school thinking I have the business background. And eventually my plan was to go to law school. It was not to go while I was in business school. It was to get my law degree later and do it part-time once I had a job in baseball. But nothing ever works out the way you really plan. I loved working for the team at Case Western so much that I decided I'm going to go ahead and apply to the law school. If I get in, I get 4 years with the team. If I don't, I'll apply next year and I'll get 5 years with the team. So even to this day, I tell them they are the reason why I have a law degree. It's their fault.
Case Western's D3. So they don't even run like their program. I mean, I'm just saying financially and just, in terms of travel and everything, like D3 baseball is good baseball, but what was it about that experience that they ran it in such a way and accepted you in such a way that made you want to do this, for your livelihood? That's amazing. Cause you'd think you went to, Texas, UT or something, and had an amazing experience, but Case Western is the reason. I mean, that's amazing.
It's actually because they were D3 that I got the experience that I had. And I did apply to bigger schools. I applied to, Ohio State. I applied to Michigan. I actually got into Michigan and UConn. And what really set it apart though was first, my stepmom went to Michigan for her medical degree, and one of my cousins actually played football there.
Oh, wow.
So we do have a connection. Well, Michigan would have been a kinesiology degree, not an MBA. And when I asked about working for the baseball team, the response was, yeah, we have a manager who's going to be graduating. You can apply for the position. And that wasn't good enough for me. And then UConn, they said, yeah, you can apply. I mean, it was actually a good shot that I would be the graduate assistant there. But then they told me I'd have to take summer classes to make up some of the credits. And I was like, yeah, I've got a vacation this summer. I'm not doing that. So I didn't go to UConn either.
Oh my God. Wow.
And all the other schools, I mean, pretty much was the same response was, yeah, we might be able to use your help. We'll let you know. Case Western, their coach, Matt Englander, his response was, yeah, we'd love to have your help. You could help with this, you could help with that. So I went to go visit, met up with him and one of the assistant coaches and, had a conversation, and he just said, great, you're going to be the director of baseball operations. Never had one before, didn't know what it was. I got to create the position myself. And the fact that it was such, like with the D3 program, you're not limited on coaches.
Right.
And they're always looking for help. And the fact that I was willing to do this for free and I just wanted experience, I started just doing social media, emailing parents, updating information. I mean, there's no social media whatsoever. I created the Twitter account, the Instagram, their email address, started, helping with meals and travel, any fundraising. So the golf tournament, I helped out with that. By my third year, I put together the entire golf tournament on my own. But by the time I graduated, I was doing all of that, as well as stats in the dugout, as well as defense positioning, printing out the spray charts, throwing BP, evaluating the outfielders and giving feedback to the coaches. I mean, I was in uniform. Like I had, the camp.
That was fascinating stuff. The
And
D3s are dying for help, like you said. It's just mind blowing to me. Oh my
that's
God.
what I loved about it was
Oh,
I got to do everything. Like that's where I learned how to use Rapsodo. Was
wow.
we bought it my last year and the coach gave me the handbook and went, all right, you learn it, you run it. So I was running Rapsodo for the pitchers. Like I was as involved as possible. I mean, I didn't plan hotels or trips or anything, but once they were
Yeah.
planned, our head coach would give me the information and go, all right, you're in charge. Like you just remember everything. Like I took care of all of that. I did pretty much
Wow.
everything you could do. And I loved being able to do it. I loved
Oh,
being involved. And it was really cool because I was still a student. So I had a slightly different relationship with the players too, especially the ones who I started the same year they did. We graduated the same year.
wow.
So it was awesome, just getting to see that. Like I'm still in touch with
I was going to say,
a good portion of the team. Last off season, I went back, I helped them out, and I got to know the new guys there. I mean, you've got guys who started after I was there who know who I am, and I even know who they are. Um,
wow.
like I meet up with, former players whenever I get a chance, if we're in the same town. I'm still in touch with their parents and their siblings.
Oh my God. So was there a correlation between what the dimensions that you added to the program to the success of the program in terms of wins and losses? Like, was that a recruiting tool that, or did that not necessarily correlate? But the experience obviously was better for everybody.
I
But
actually have no idea. I never really paid
oh,
attention to that. So okay, actually I take that back. I kind of have a little bit of an idea. Our head coach says yes.
right.
I know that for sure because he was always telling me, yeah, put this on your resume. You helped out with this. You helped out with that. Put that on
Right.
there. I have no idea personally if it actually helped or not, but that's also just me. I hate taking credit for what players do on the field
Yeah.
because, as much as we coach, it's really on them. So it could be like, you would have to ask the player, honestly. That's more like they would have a better answer of whether I actually helped out or not. I can say as much as I want, but I wouldn't know because I'm not the one on the field.
Oh man, it's so much bigger than just analytics. And, it really speaks to when you're a part of a team sport, you want it to be a magical experience, right? Because you want to remember it forever. Yes, you want to play, but you want to just like feel like you're a part of it. And those dimensions, like it resonated with me right away. Like I could just, is like as if I was there because I played D3 ball, right? Basketball and tennis. And you want to have memories and have the full experience. And the fact that you did that for free and obviously it's paying off now, man, that is, well, that program suffered ever since you've left. Unless I filled your shoes in some small way, like with that same position. Wow.
Oh, right. Trust me. My last year, I recognized I'm going to need somebody to take over because I hadn't even realized until I was trying to find somebody to take my spot how much I'd taken on.
Right.
And we thought we found somebody. He couldn't fit in everything. And finally, I talked to Matt and he's like, look, we're not going to be able to find somebody who's willing
No
to do
way.
as much as you did for free. Like you did too much. I was like,
Exactly.
I set the bar too high. So I think they actually
Wow.
did find a student athlete who was willing to help out this past season. And I think that was the first year. And I graduated in 17. So it took about 4 years, 4 or 5 years for them to
Wow.
find somebody. And when I figured that out, I just kind of started breaking down my responsibilities and kind of showing the coaches what I'd been doing the last 4 years to try to break it up. Because I do recognize it was a lot for one person. And I was doing 2
Wow.
graduate degrees at the same time.
Right.
But that's actually what makes all of my, all the jobs after that not easy, but
Yeah.
not as hard as it would have been for some people. I mean, the
Right.
time commitment and stuff, like that was some of the busiest times of my life.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine. Grad school, two different things, law school, business, and then baseball. And baseball is not a short season. There's games every day.
I was working like 50 to 60 hours a week during the season. And then, like I said, my last year, I decided to add cheerleading to that as well.
Oh my God. That's phenomenal. Oh man, I could talk about Case Western all day, but I know people probably want to hear about, how that helped you, and how you leveraged that to go, into the professional ranks because you knew clearly that that's what you wanted to do, even if it wasn't a general manager. So what is it that you because you corrected me during the intro. What is it that you want to do now? I mean, do you want to be the first women's Major League Baseball coach in the history of the game?
Well, we already have one.
Yeah. But I'm saying like at the major league level, like at
That's me. We already have one. We have Alyssa.
Yeah, Alyssa. No, but I'm saying a head manager.
Oh, yeah. Eventually,
Yeah,
yeah.
I know about Alyssa.
Long term, I do want to be major league manager.
Yeah, man.
But really, I think I want to coach for as long as I can. Yeah. Ideally at the major league level. I've even said if it's not manager, I would be disappointed, but
yeah,
my most prevalent goal is just to make it to the majors and be a coach. So I do want to do that.
Wow, that would be amazing. Well, you'd be the 8th lawyer that would have ever held a major league managerial position. Tony La Russa, White Sox manager right now, has a law degree, interestingly. So what about the experiences since your law degree and your business school experiences and Case Western, the baseball experiences? Because baseball is a sport of nuance. There's so many, not just player manager relationships and the nuances there. Like you said, you fail 7 out of 10 times if you're lucky. It's a grind. With the minor leagues, there's travel, and not everybody has Michael Jordan on their minor league baseball team and can travel, in a way that, the major leaguers do. So what has it been about the different grind now since, Case Western that, you love, and it doesn't matter what you're doing with who, you just want to be a part of something bigger than yourself?
I think it's the fact that I've worked so hard to get to this point that, yeah, it's not going to be easy, but the moment something gets easy, then it gets boring.
For sure.
It's not fun when it's easy. So I don't mind that part. The travel, the grind, like, it's hard to say it's a grind when you really love it. Yeah, it's long days, but like I said, I've had longer. My most recent job before this, I was working 16 hours a day. So working 10 to 12, where I get to be outside all the time and just surrounded by baseball, I can't complain. And
so tell everybody what you're doing now specifically, like what your responsibilities are, and if you ever have any pushback, or do people like look at you and maybe not now, but maybe initially, they're like, this is sort of different, but okay, kind of thing.
Yeah, well, I just finished up my second season, and which is pretty on par for me. I added on a bunch of responsibilities from my first year. So this most recent season, I was still in charge of outfield, even a little bit more actually than last year. We have one of our hitting coaches who helps out with outfield. Last year was definitely more of a collaboration where I kind of suggested drills. He'd say, yeah, that's a good idea, and he'd just let me run it. This year, it was, hey, this is what we're doing today. Like, if I'm not there, this is what I got planned. Or he would just come to me, hey, what's the plan for today? So I ran outfield. I put together all the drills, whether I was on the road or not. Because, days that we traveled, we had a stay back group, which would usually consist of a couple outfielders. I planned those drills too.
Wow.
Ran base running. So towards the beginning of the season, we did base running once a week, and I planned and ran all of those drills as well. And I was the go-to person that, just made sure it didn't conflict with anything else. If we did bunting, I usually ran that as well. I was one of the hitting coaches, so helped out with that. And then I was the first base coach, which I did last year as well. But on top of being the first base coach, I got to coach third a couple of times this season. Still did, stats in the dugouts. I was keeping track of pitch count, keeping track of tendencies, spray charts. I was keeping track of, pitcher time to home, pickoff moves.
Wow.
Guys that stole, guys that bunted. So pretty much I was acting as the bench coach when I was in the dugout, just giving information to our manager. And then after games, I was helping, take over, just taking a look at the schedule, making sure everything lined up. I wrote most of the game reports. So overall summary, anything on outfield, bunting, base running. If our manager was out of town, I sometimes wrote the catching section. So
wow.
Yeah, and then just kind of overall, like, I had the schedule for the day, I had the schedule for the pitchers, I had the weekly schedule for the pitchers. So if anybody pretty much had a question about who was throwing that day, who was throwing later, what the pitchers were supposed to be doing, what the hitters were supposed to be doing, I had that. So I made sure to basically have as much information as possible and just know what was happening at the complex, because it became a thing that, if our manager wasn't around, people came to me and asked, hey, what's going on? Like even something as simple as, what shirt are we wearing today? Or like for our scrimmages, are we in pants or are we in shorts today? Like stuff like that. And, when I needed to, helped out with the infield too. So just kind of everything.
That's amazing. How much do you notice that the manager, where is this ball located at?
So the last 2 seasons I was down at our complex in Fort Myers.
In Fort Myers, yeah. And then how much did you notice, because you're trying to develop your own philosophy, right? Some managers like to play small ball, some don't want to take the bat out of the player's hands, situational things, and then analytics, guide a lot of your decisions, but then you have a gut feeling about things. And so I can tell you there's been many a times in the last 45 years that I've yelled at the television because I'm like, why? So, we can always second guess things. But yeah, I've been watching baseball for a long time and played it myself. I had a great senior year, batted almost 400, and thought I was going to play in college, got cut similar to you, and then ended up playing college basketball and college tennis. And so now you know the rest of the story. But how much do you feel like you're going to be an analytics kind of person? You have to get a feel for what the players are doing on that day or what they didn't do yesterday, or if they're better during the day versus at night. Wow, man, there must be just so many things running through your head, because you're probably putting yourself in the manager's position at a lot of these instances. And you're like, man, if that was me, I would probably have done this, not to contradict the manager, but just to say, hey, I got to sort of think about what I would do in that situation, because I'm going to be there.
Oh, trust me, I definitely spent a lot of time, talking to our manager about different situations. At least once a game, a situation would come up where I'd ask him, okay, why did you do that and not this? And we talk about it. So that was really helpful. But
wow.
I'd like to be that manager that's definitely kind of a mix. Yeah. I totally see the benefit of analytics. At the same time, we are still dealing with humans. And
exactly.
There's something to be said about that. Like they're going to, and it also depends on what level. So like right now with us for the rookie team, analytics, they do come into play. I'd say it's more just like tendencies than anything. So that kind of information is really helpful. Like it's hard for an 18-year-old to change how he's going to swing. He hasn't learned that yet.
Right. They watch a lot of film?
If we have it. We don't have a lot of film down there.
Wow.
So that's what I mean. It changes the way we have to manage the team, because now we don't have a lot of that information. We are teaching these guys actually how to play baseball, like how to read the hitter, how to, figure out pitching tendencies, things like that. Right. And as the season gets further along, then we start to get more data, but particularly guys coming up from the Dominican, we don't have anything on them. Wow. So of course it's different at the major league level, but at the same time, you can have the tendencies, but a good hitter is going to bat against that. Right. If it helps. So that's where it's got to be a little bit of a mix. Like if I know I've got a good hitter, he might always pull, but if he's got a situation where, one side's open and I know he's good and he can hit that way, yeah, I'm gonna just let him do it.
Let him go. Yeah.
Yeah. Like if they're a good player, not just a good hitter, but just a good baseball player.
Right.
And they know the situation, I'm gonna let them do it. So it really just depends on, who am I dealing with? What team am I facing as well? That's one of the things I've had this conversation with coaches too, is I've noticed how whenever we give information to hitters, like, here's the pitching tendencies. Here's what their strongest pitch is. Here's where they throw most. And, whether you're righty or lefty, this is what they throw to most. I'm like, that's helpful. But now we're still ignoring the fact that the other team is doing the exact same thing. But now for hitters, here's where we're bad at. This is what we're good at. Right. Your best pitchers, unless their best pitch is so good that they could still throw it, even if it's that hitter's best spot, they might not throw it there. And I think we're ignoring that. Like if that is your best spot, I'm not going to throw there. I'll probably throw my best pitch, but now in a different spot. So now you need to know what you're good and bad at as well. How are they going to attack you based on you? Yeah. And it is a mix of analytics, but it also is just a mix of just that person. So you have to have a balance. I don't agree with just using the numbers, because people aren't just numbers. Guys have good days, guys have bad days. Like,
Right.
I've seen it a lot down at the rookie level. I mean, especially like we play the Twins twice a week. And when my parents came to visit, I told them, you're going to see either a really close game or a blowout, because we know each other so well.
Right.
It's never just, a regular game. Like, it's either going to be, we know the pitcher so well, or they know us so well that it becomes a pitching duel, or one team or the other are just going to completely annihilate them. So that's baseball. Like, it could go either way.
Yeah. Did any of it must be so satisfying just to have them so raw and to see the improvement over the course of a season, and their minds expand and taking it all in and just getting better. Has anyone got the call to move up at all? I mean, that's a big jump, but at least to the next level, double A or
Plenty.
yeah.
Yeah, that's been really cool. It was different last year because it was my first year, still getting to know guys. Not to mention with the backlash with, the COVID year,
Right.
our rosters were a little bit different. Guys weren't quite moving up as fast. This year, I've gotten to see guys who they started with us, like they were drafted last year and started with us in the FCL, who are now at high A.
Wow.
And some guys getting called up to double A. I mean, guys who I might not have worked with in Florida either, but getting to, meet them, get to know them during spring training, and getting to see them get called up. I think it was really cool because, so our season ended end of August. And this past week I was with Salem with our low A team. And then the week before I had a week off. So I actually drove up to Worcester and Boston and got to watch them play.
Wow.
And I was saying how last year I didn't know a single guy on the Worcester roster. I didn't know any guys on the major league roster. This year, probably knew about a quarter of the guys in Worcester. So getting to see them play was awesome.
Wow.
I know a couple of guys on the major league roster, and I got to see, Tristan got called up and I got to see his debut. And while I never worked with him, really during the season, he was rehabbing with us down in Florida this year. So I got to know him.
Amazing.
And, once he started playing games with us, obviously had him on the bases, stuff like that. So that was my first time where I got to work with a player and I got to see them make it to the big league.
Wow.
And the fact that I managed to make it in person and watch it was so cool. And then obviously there are a couple of other guys here. I worked with some of the AAA guys during spring training who got called up. So getting to see them play too was definitely different this year. But yeah, it's like, I think the entire Salem roster at the beginning of the year, we had it Florida last year. And then by the end of the year, like half of the roster were guys who had been called up during the year. And then same thing with, Greenville with high A, getting to see like half of that roster I'd worked with last year. So it's been really cool getting to see that.
Yeah, it is. I've coached at all levels. I've coached some professional basketball players, and I've coached at the college level. And now I'm at a low income first generation high school, and I love every level. You appreciate every level that you're at. Obviously, when you make it to the majors, you're going to appreciate the journey and the grind and the time that you put in, the sacrifices and everything. But yeah, there's not, or especially early in your career. I remember early in my career, there's nothing like seeing guys just evolve and seeing their success, and to see how excited you are for them, just shows, what you're about. And you've always been about, clearly, starting with what your parents taught you about, trying new things and sacrificing. And, if you love something, to keep doing it, whether you're making money, or you're just a pinch runner, or you're a pinch hitter, whatever your role is, you're just as much a part of the team as anybody else. And then you can redefine things, which you clearly have done everywhere you've gone, which is also a great lesson for people. Just because you take a job, you can do whatever you want with that job and redefine it. And now the next person that comes in, you've laid the foundation to raise that bar. I think that's amazing.
That is pretty much defined most of my career. I mean, that's the job I had at Carroll, was just supposed to be assistant AD, and it turned into assistant baseball coach and hitting coordinator. The job with the Reds was a baseball operations trainee in the front office. And by the end of this, my time there, I was spending half my time on the field catching in for the coaches, because I decided to go down and just do what I could. So yeah, you're right. Like, whatever's written on paper is your responsibilities, that you don't have to just stop there.
Man,
Find other ways to be valuable.
yeah, that's amazing. Oh man, and because it's even more impressive because we're living in an instant gratification society, especially now, and you're still part of that. And you sort of beat to a different drum from that perspective. And most people would have probably quit or said, "Nah, I'm going to go make money being a lawyer. I'm going to make six figures first year out of law school." And you didn't do that. I mean, it takes a special person to put in the time to give up that kind of coin.
Yeah, you can tell
Especially,
my players would agree. They some of them think I'm crazy.
well, they're not going to think you're crazy in about 3 to 5 years when you're at Fenway
But
or at Yankee Stadium. You probably make your mom more happy.
would definitely be more happy. Most of my family would be more happy.
Yeah,
But
your mom was a Yankees fan. For those of you who didn't know that, I was going to ask you that as part of the rapid fire questions. Like, did that drive her nuts that you had the Red Sox organization? At least the other team, Cincinnati, was in the National League, so it was like whatever.
yeah, but my stepdad and his entire family are Pirates fans.
Oh
So
my God, what a nightmare!
I kept joining all the rival teams.
Oh
Like
my God.
even the Rangers. Nobody. I think my sister's the only Rangers fan, but I have not joined a single team that my family could really root
Oh
for.
my God. Well, maybe the Yankees one day, ladies and gentlemen, not the Mets. That is hilarious. Do you have anything that you want to share with everyone about either social injustice or, we've had Colette Smith on this show. We've had Jen Welter. We've had Jennifer King, Judy Sweet. We've had a lot of incredible SHEros and queens telling their HERstories and the impact that that's going to have, down the road. And we don't really know, how that's going to be viewed. But, Martin Luther King had a 30% approval rating in the 60s. And I don't think he has a 30% approval rating now. Not that you're at 30%, but in terms of representation and what you're doing for young girls to see, everything that you're doing, what Colette did in the NFL, Jen did in the NFL, and what Becky Hammon did in the NBA, and there's a lot of other examples. So do you have any comments about that, social injustice or mental health, any one of those three Sports Deli menu items before we get to the rapid fire?
Well, I'd say as far as the representation, for sure, because I know how important this is to a lot of women, a lot of girls, especially, girls of color.
Yeah.
One of the things that I heard for the last several years was, now that we have women in these roles, now that you could see it, you can be it. And that drove me crazy. I hated that because to me, it's like, well, now the other side of that is saying, if you can't see it, you can't be it. So think of it this way instead. If you don't see it, then be the first, because somebody has to be. Like, just because you don't see it doesn't mean you can't do it. And that's something I even tell our players, until you try and you actually just can't do it, it's not impossible yet. So at least try it. So I think that's got to be the first thing. When I decided I wanted to be a coach, I'd never seen a woman on the field, let alone a Black woman. We still don't have any other. I mean, we do have like a couple who kind of coach on the side, but nobody that's really public. So if I had just kept waiting and waiting and waiting,
right,
who knows how long we would have been waiting. And then I'd say the other thing is, obviously, we face critics. I mean, I've read the comments from people who think that I have no idea what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm doing. I didn't play, which I keep trying to remind people I did, but
play both.
Or the fact that like I wouldn't be respected because I was a woman. I actually laugh because I feel like if I wouldn't be respected for my players, it's not because I'm a woman. It's because I'm 5 foot and I look like a kid. That's why. not because I was a woman. Which my players, they actually do tease me about whenever we go through our high five line when we win. There's always the tallest guys who will raise their hand up as high as possible and make me jump.
Oh my God, that's messed up.
But then they get really excited when I get a really good vert and I actually do manage to hit. So what I'm trying to say is, like, when you have those critics, I always think of it as, unless it's coming from my players or the person who is actually responsible for my job, who cares? They have no say in what you're doing with your life. They have no idea what you're doing with your life. I've got family members who have no idea what I'm doing. Obviously, yes, I care what they say, but no offense to my family members, if they were critiquing me as well, unless it's like constructive criticism, I'm still not going to listen. I don't really care because it's my life and I'm the one who has to live it. So I try to say that as well. It's you're the one who has to live with your decisions. Don't decide based on other people. I mean, unless you have like, obviously we got coaches with families who have to make those kind of decisions with kids and stuff. Fine. But do what makes you happy and figure that out. Because in the end, you're going to be the one who has to live with your decisions and those consequences, nobody else. So ignore what everybody else has to say. Does not matter what they say. And then now, honestly, I read some of those comments as fuel. Because on those days, because it gets to me too, where I'm like, I'm tired. It's been a long day. I mean, we're in the Florida sun for hours. Sometimes I need a pick me up. And honestly, those are the pick me ups. Because I read those and laugh and go,
For real?
all right. Yep. Yeah. Now I'm like, all right, now I'm good. Now, first of all, now I'm going to prove them wrong. Like I've had coaches who will not intentionally to be negative, but they'll kind of say some random comment about how I can't do something. And then my first thought is, all right, now how can I do this? And usually they laugh because once they get to know me, they realize, oh, why did I say that? Now you're actually going to try to do this.
Right.
I'm working on throwing lefty BP just because we don't have a lefty pitcher. I'm like,
wow, that's incredible.
Why not? Like, why not try? Like, that's what I live by is why not? Worst thing that happens is, okay, it doesn't work out, but now you know.
That's incredible. I love that. I didn't think about that. Learning how to throw lefty BP, because you definitely need to be able to come from both arm angles. That's incredible.
Well, I also figured eventually my right arm is going to give. So that way I have my left and I can keep going.
I love that. Oh, phenomenal stuff. Well said. No gaslighting here, ladies and gentlemen, for either one of us. I get a lot of pushback on social media as well. It's brutal. I mean, I have had 1.3 million views in the last 2 weeks on my stuff. I don't know why. TikTok is good also, but YouTube's worse in terms of comments. And I'm like, okay, whatever, bruh.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, my body of work speaks for itself. Okay, let's get to the this or that, the rapid fire, and then we'll let you go on your vacation. I can't thank you enough. Can't thank. Shout out to Lonnie, your agent, and Dave Stewart's wife, for putting this together. She's breaking barriers as well. She's amazing, as authentic as anyone I've ever met, and love her to death. Okay. So giving signs as a baseball coach, do you practice that in front of the mirror, like your indicator? And
oh my gosh. This year I was determined to coach third, and I spent maybe 4 weeks before I worked up the courage to ask, just standing in front of a mirror, just working on giving signs. It's so nerve-wracking the first time.
Oh my God, wait, but did you mess up?
Actually, I didn't, but thankfully we have the wipe off. So if we do mess up,
that's right.
Just keep going. But no, I had to make sure, because I got into the habit, unfortunately, of kind of going to the same spots over and over again.
Oh, right.
Like, oh wait, I can't do that because they're going to pick up on that. So I'm like, I had to work on intentionally, going to other spots. So it was, once I started doing it, I started to get used to it. But yeah, I did have to practice.
Man, that is great stuff. So NASCAR has had advertising all over their cars, right, for years. And next year, baseball is going to allow different things all over the uniforms. So I don't know about for the minors, but for major leaguers. But are you looking forward to seeing like what those are going to look like? Because I'm pretty excited, actually. Or are you a traditionalist? Oh, wow. And maybe not.
I'm a little of both. As long as it's not too over the top.
Right.
I'm a little excited. It's kind of like, when guys get to put nicknames on the back of their jerseys. Of course, everybody's kind of excited to see what they put. But at the same time, it's like, all right, let's get back to baseball.
Right. Absolutely. What do you think of the new no shifting rule? Are you a proponent of it? Yeah, not me either.
I don't like it. I think we should be allowed to shift because it's part of strategy.
Right. I don't get it. Like, why?
Those are the good baseball players, the ones who could beat the shift.
Absolutely. I hate it. What about the shot clock? Sort of like the shot clock.
That one I do kind of like, because there's some pitchers that take forever. But not just the pitchers. We have guys down here who after every pitch will step out.
Right.
Okay, I get it. You need to reset. Let's figure out how to reset a little bit faster.
Oh my God. Yeah, that's why, the games are so long, right? How was fantasy camp?
Interesting.
Ooh. But what big time major leaguers came back and were a part of that you got to spend time with, that you like learned from, that you're like, wow, that really made me a better coach?
So we had Victor Rodriguez, Rich Gedman, of course, Getty, love him.
Yeah.
Obviously, I still get to talk with him a lot.
Wow.
Lenny DiNardo, who was I'm laughing because we have the camper versus coaches game at the
Oh
end
my
of the
God.
week. And
Wow.
it's hilarious watching all of these coaches come out and they go seriously. Like you've got guys who haven't pitched in like 30 years who are still throwing like 90, trying to get these guys out.
Oh my God. That is classic.
So yeah, that was a few of them. Keith Folk, of course, he was one of the coaches on my staff, so I got to talk with him a lot. I mean, there was a bunch of them. No, it was a lot of fun. It was just interesting because most of my experience had been college and professional, and even youth. I coached a little bit as a private instructor, but even that, like it's interesting going from peak athleticism to guys who can't bend over. So like you have to change your coaching mindset, because I'm like, I want to yell at a guy for like, how do you miss that ground ball? Oh, right, you can't reach the ground. So it's
your legs a little wider.
Yeah, like that's why it's interesting. It was also interesting because the games in the morning are coach pitch, and being the youngest one there and one of the few who threw constantly, I threw every game to my team. And there are some games where I even threw to the other team.
Wow.
The very first game we played, I shut out my team. And I even asked them later, and they're like, one, because throwing BP, you usually throw it, belt a little bit below the belt. Not for them. I have to throw everything above the belt for them to be able to hit it, but all of my balls were too low. And my fastball has a tendency to move.
Ooh.
Particularly when it's higher, it's straighter, but when it's lower, I cut myself off a little bit, and it sometimes turns into a cutter.
I love it.
So I was throwing like fastball cutters too low, and nobody could hit the ball. I think out of the 2 weeks I was there, the very last game, my team finally won against me.
That is classic.
We lost every game because they could not hit my pitches. So it was definitely interesting. Just coaching a different type of team.
Right. Absolutely. Has anyone ever during a game missed the cutoff man, and then you like lost it in the dugout?
I don't lose it in the dugout.
Okay.
I will say that I have never lost it in the dugout, and that is me. Like one of the things I've heard, obviously, from other coaches is the farther away you are from the game, the easier it is to critique.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same going towards the game. When we're in the dugout and you've been working with these guys, especially when they're younger, yeah, you could blow up on them, but for a lot of them, it's not like they're intentionally trying to miss the cut. A lot of it is just, okay, we got to remind them. As they get older, I probably still wouldn't lose it, but I would be a little bit more pissed off and like, all right, we've been working on this for how long? You should be able to hit the cut.
Yeah.
No, usually if that happens, I'll be upset, but then they'll come in, we'll talk about it. And, that'll probably, if we do it too many times in a game, they know that's going to be the drill the next day.
At 6
We've had that
a.m.
drill where it's just hit the cut. And once we did that, we've gotten a lot better. So, no, I really don't lose it as a coach. Guys can tell when I'm upset because it's the few like rare time where I'll raise my voice. I mean, I got ejected for the first time this season, and the players were shocked. The umpires were shocked. I had umpires games later going, "How did you get ejected?"
Wait, from the dugout, or did you come out and do kick the dirt on the home?
When I was coaching first.
Wow, that was a quick toss probably then. Were you expecting them to toss you, or were you like, oh, I'm going.
Well, it was the bottom of the ninth. We had a runner at first. Our hitter hit a double off the wall. We of course sent a runner. He was out at home. I thought he was safe, but what really got me was he got up, slammed his helmet down. He was tossed. I ran over to make sure he wasn't doing to do anything else stupid. And as I walked past the umpire, I might have said how bad game he was calling. And that's when he's like, well, Bianca, do you want to get tossed too? And that's was like, you know what? It's the bottom of the ninth. Why not? And then I just kept talking. I ended up winning that game in extras, so it was worth it.
Wait, did you get your money's worth though? Did you go back?
Oh yeah, I got it. But that's what I mean. Like, it was so surprising that.
Wait, is that on film anywhere?
Not.
God, I want to see
public. I have it.
Oh my God, that is classic.
But no, that's what I mean. Like even the umps know me well enough that the next couple of games, I'd have the first base. I'm going, I saw the video. How did you get tossed? Out of all the people on the staff, like I'm just not.
Man.
I try to be as even keeled as possible.
Right.
Unless we win the game and it's a walk off or something. Of course, I'm going to get really excited, or really good play. But for the most part, like you wouldn't really be able to tell if we're winning or losing.
That's awesome. Favorite food?
Salmon.
Wow. Interesting. Do you like to cook it, or is it better when you eat out?
I will cook it if I plan ahead enough.
Right. You have to plan ahead of it. Yeah. Right. But what's with it? Like asparagus or something?
I know. I'll just get if I'm not hungry, I just get 2 fillets.
Oh, wow. I love it.
Carnivore seafood.
Oh, seafood. God.
Yes. Any seafood.
Come out to San Diego. I got you, because we have some great crab places out here.
Actually, I will be there for the winter meetings this year.
Oh, wow. Well, Bob Nightingale was on the show, and like we're good friends now. I wonder if he'll probably be here for that. Wait, when is that? In January?
Early December.
Oh, December. Hey, let me know. I would love to.
I'll be there. I think December 2nd to the 7th.
Ooh, well, if you have a free, lunch, or let's do it. I would love, man.
I'll be free when I go to the winter meetings. I show up for like 2 events and then I take a vacation the rest of the time.
Oh, let's go to Dog Beach. We'll go to Dog Beach. We'll get some good food. Anything you want to do, let me know. It would be my honor. That'd be amazing.
All right.
Favorite TV show growing up?
Rugrats.
Wow, interesting. Do you have a favorite movie?
Lion King.
Yes. And then, do you have a favorite musical artist?
Ooh, Five Finger Death Punch.
Wow. I don't think I've ever heard them before.
Oh, I actually have a very eclectic taste in music. The only music I don't listen to is rap. It's like I have, Japanese, Latin, Chinese, like all of that on my playlist. Pop, hip hop, blues, R&B, jazz, rock, heavy metal, alternative. Like I will go all over the place, but when I go to the cages and I need music to hit,
right,
I tend to go rock, heavy metal.
Yeah, definitely. The cages, making sure you're standing behind all the nets and everything, right? I wasn't gonna bring it up, but you sort of
it's
led
looking
me
better.
into it. It is. I wouldn't have even known.
Yeah, you could barely tell, and you can ask any of my players this year. Every time I got hit this year, I actually was behind the net. Either I got hit off the top of the cage, or I have the machine behind me in my cage, and I actually got a ricochet off the machine in the back of my leg.
Oh my God.
I was behind the net though.
Unbelievable. Yeah. So you got, were you just like trying to go retrieve a ball, or what actually happened when that situation?
All right, so I was with Carol, the last team I worked with. And it's sadly my last day with them. We were in Ohio playing a doubleheader. And it was like the 7th inning of the first game. Or no, it must have been like the 5th. But our coach asked me to warm up some of the freshmen to hit. So I go in the cages with them, which is right next to the field. I'm throwing BP. And after I threw one, I turned to look to see what was going on the field, but I stepped back instead of forward.
Oh my gosh.
Where the ball hit, turned back, and the screen was like right here.
Oh my God.
And got me in the face.
Gushing.
So it was a batted ball line drive right at my face.
Oh my God.
Probably 25, 30 feet away.
Ouch.
Poor kid felt terrible.
Oh.
Once I got over like the shock, the pain, I had, one of the parents who were with us was actually a former EMT. So he comes in the cage. He's, asking me, hey, can you roll over, trying to put gauze in my face, ask questions, make sure I wasn't concussed. Took a couple deep breaths after, went through that whole trauma. And then I just remember he sat me up, he sat me on a bucket, and, he's getting somebody to call the ambulance. And he's like, yeah, you're probably going to need stitches. And I'm like, all right, I wonder if they could do the stitches here at the field. And then I just go, hey, can you turn me around so I can keep watching the game? I'm sitting here on the bucket, like holding a gauze to my eyes, just watching the game for the ambulance. And oh
my God.
Thankfully, I didn't do the stitches at the field, but
right.
I was pretty upset. Went to the hospital, did the CAT scan, ended up, obviously, a lot of you guys, I'm sure, saw the pictures.
Yeah.
I did not cry until they told me that they were going to have to do a CAT scan because my eye wasn't moving the way they wanted it to. It was because of the swelling.
Yeah.
I wanted to make sure. And when I asked them how long it was going to take, they're like, well, it's going to take a couple hours. And I started crying because I was going to miss the second game.
Oh my God.
I
Of
was
course
so
you were.
I
So
was
mad.
so mad. Like, it was my last day with them. I
Oh,
missed the second game. They came, the team, the bus came, picked me up from the hospital. We drove back to Wisconsin, and then the next day I flew back home to Texas.
wow. Oh, thanks for sharing the story. Well, I guess just part of the journey, right?
Hey, I learned my lesson. Don't get distracted. Stay behind the screen, and trust
For
me, I had
real.
plenty of players. I got to spring training maybe a week and a half after, and of course, most of the players, follow me on Instagram. And I even had a Christian Arroyo. I ran into him and finally met him for the first time. He was one of the guys who reached out and congratulated me. But we
Awesome.
talked for a little bit, and then he just looks at me and goes, "So what happened when you got hit?" So I had plenty
Oh
of players
man.
who were like, "Stay behind the screen." I had coaches I'd worked
Oh
with in
my
the
God.
past who, like, I had one of the JR House with the Reds, the catching coach. He's like, "Stay behind." I'm like, "I get it. I
Yeah.
know." Stay behind the
Oh
screen.
my God. That's classic. Okay, if you could ask the following people one question, what would the question be that you asked them? Kamala Harris.
How much of the president's jobs does she actually do?
Interesting. Barack Obama.
Ooh, that's a good one. That one I might be a little too starstruck and just stick with, can I get a picture?
Donald Trump.
Yeah, I wouldn't be asking him any questions. I would just walk away.
Touche. Martin Luther King.
Ooh, I know people ask me this all the time, but I would love to ask him like how he got through everything, just mentally.
Great question. Michael Jordan.
Actually, oh gosh, I thought of a question, but I actually already know the answer because he's answered it in media.
Oh.
It would have been baseball related.
Oh, right.
Like why? It's just
Could have had 8 rings instead of 6.
yeah, like why? Like I get it, you're doing it for his dad, but
Yeah.
why not just stick with basketball?
Right. All right. Last one, you can probably determine, imagine who I'm going to ask who this person is. Jackie Robinson.
Can we play catch?
Wow. That's awesome. Okay. A couple more. Best lawyer joke. Okay. So maybe your mom will appreciate or not appreciate this, as will you. What did the lawyer name her daughter? Sue. Wait, there's a couple more. You have to choose which one of these is your favorite. How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb?
Oh God. I don't know if I even want to know this answer.
None, because they'd rather keep the clients in the dark.
Ooh, that's a good one.
And then the last one is, oh no, just those two. I stuck with those two. Which one of those do you like the best? I feel like the way you reacted to the first one was your
So
favorite.
definitely the first one, only 'cause the second one is not even really a joke. It's just kind of true.
That's right. League of Their Own or Bull Durham?
League of Their Own.
Of course. Well, there was one more. So if I was going to give you the last lawyer joke is, what's the difference between a lawyer and a vampire? And a vampire only sucks blood at night, but that's sort of in the same category as that second one. If you were, let's see, if you're going to open up a yoga studio, what would be the name of it?
So random.
Very
I
random.
hate yoga.
Wow. Any of the players do yoga?
I fall asleep.
Well, that's good. You're exhausted.
I get bored. I need to move.
There's types of yoga that you can move more, but yeah.
No, I did yoga in college because we were the least flexible team on campus. Our coach made us do yoga.
Wow.
I was fine because I was a cheerleader, but
that's true.
I have no idea.
So if you opened up a baseball sports bar, what would be the name of it?
Ooh. Oh, the 108th.
The 108th? What does that mean?
108 stitches on a baseball.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that.
I learned that from watching the movie The Perfect Game.
Wow, that's interesting. 108 is a very significant number in yoga. Also, interestingly, maybe you'll look that up later and find out why. Wow, that is fascinating. 108 stitches on a baseball. I had no idea. Man, that's incredible. Okay. Did you have a coming out song at Dartmouth?
Like a walk up?
Yeah, like a walk up song.
Yeah, actually, both years.
Wait, were they different, or did you keep it the same both?
So, my first year was I'm a Bee. Nickname.
Yeah, right.
And then my second one was Remember the Name. It's one of my favorite pump up songs.
Wow.
Actually, I used to listen to that before every game.
That's awesome. You know, the only person when I ask these types of questions, Kate Pay is the associate head coach at Stanford for Tara Vanderveer. And so she played in WNBA. So I asked, you know, what your favorite music is. And she's like, actually, it's the warm-up songs before the game. You know, same kind of thing. Like no one ever answered it that way. They either answer hip hop or, you know, country or whatever. So I know what your answer is for this next one, but usually we ask it anyways. You know, where you see yourself in 5 years. Obviously, we know now what that answer is. Yeah. But if you could have any 5 people, last question, if you could have any 5 people at your dinner table, past or present, dead or alive, who would be at your dinner table?
Jackie Robinson, Martin Luther King Jr., Derek Jeter. Oh, my parents.
Cannot know who they are, though. I never met them.
So
that'll be at the other dinner table, people that you know.
People I don't know. Mia Hamm.
Wow. Soccer. Yep.
I did an entire project on her, like paper and stuff.
Wow.
When I was
and your stepbrother plays professional soccer too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And went to UCLA.
Yep.
Wow.
5th person.
Ooh.
Serena Williams.
Oh man, what a great dinner table. Oh, fascinating stuff, man. One of the best conversations. And we've had a lot of guests in here. I mean, we've had amazing women, like I told you, some NBA. I mean, we've professional soccer. We had Z King come on, Sarah Spain from ESPN. You know, she obviously is part owner of the Chicago franchise. And we've had a lot of amazing guests. This was one of my favorite conversations. And to have you do it at the end of the season when you are spread thin, exhausted, ready to put that phone on do not disturb.
Only for a week, and then I'm back to work again.
Yes. Well, so what's on the docket in a week?
Actually driving up to Cincinnati to watch the big league team play the Reds and say hi to some guys.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh, good for you. Well, any last words? We've been in over 30 countries. Like I said, we're just here to serve and offer inspiration, motivation, and education any way we can. And truly an honor as part of our 50th anniversary of Title IX Celebration Series to have you, Bianca Smith, historic guest on the show. Floor is yours.
Well, I mean, definitely thank you again for having me on. I'd say last words to, just everybody, kind of what I've said before. If you've got something you're really passionate about, even if it's not a job yet, figure out how to make it a job. Like figure out how to be valuable and then live life. Like I've learned life is way too short. Enjoy what you're doing. Have some fun.
Absolutely, man. Well said. All right. Much love to you. Have a great vacation and maybe do a little yoga during this week off or not.
Horseback riding and hiking.
Ooh, that's exciting. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
enjoy it. Well deserved. And best of luck in the off season and going forward. Anything we can ever do for you or anyone that Lonnie already knows this. Huge ally and advocate of her work and anybody that she's in touch with. Ryan, people that have been through the mental health space. As a life coach, anything I can do, please don't ever hesitate. You're guilty by association now with Lonnie. So there you have it. You're stuck with me for life.
Appreciate it. And
all right, counselor.
San Diego.
Yes, when you're here. Now I'm dead serious about that. I'll just say that for the purposes of the podcast. If you're interested and you got some time, you want to be shown around. If you've never been here or you want to go get some good food, please reach out, DM me, and we'll make it happen.
All right, sounds good.
All right, counselor, coach, great job. B Money, Beezy, Smitty, Be Love. We could go on and on. Have a great week, and we'll catch up soon. Much love and much respect. Flowers to you. All right. Thanks everyone for joining us. Great job, man. That was phenomenal. Bianca Smith, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great interview. I hope you enjoyed it. Definitely see her with all her intangibles and just her personality and the way that she sees baseball and people and the world, being a manager, major league manager one day. And wouldn't that be historic? Not only being the first female manager in the history of Major League Baseball, but being the first African-American female manager in the history of Major League Baseball. Well, can't wait to see when that day happens. All right, everyone, if you stuck around for some more content, your wish is my command. Here are today's outtakes. Enjoy.
There we go.
Hey.
Hi.
How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Good. Fired up. Been a busy week.
Yeah, I can empathize.
I'm sure you're a lot busier than I am. Oh my gosh.
Not right now, actually. After this, I'm putting my phone on Do Not Disturb for the next week.
Yes. I love it. Well, I'm honored that Lonnie set this up and you're joining us today and as a part of our 50th anniversary of Title IX Celebration Series. Because I know how the dog days can be for sure. It's just crazy grind. I used to play semi-pro baseball, so I sort of semi get it. You know what I mean? So I'm going to do a formal intro and then we'll chop it up. Is that cool?
Yep.
All right, let's rock and roll. Appreciate that. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure you've had a lot of interviews, especially with what's happened with you recently. But man, that was that was phenomenal. I could have kept going for hours about just baseball and Case Western. Man, so great.
Trust me, I could too. I mean, we barely actually got through the 4-5 years between grad school and this job.
Man.
We talked about the Reds. That's about it. I have like at least 12, 14 jobs in between that.
Right.
I think I kind of lost track. I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Not that you necessarily like to jump around, but it's just like you said, you like a challenge and you want to get as much experience as possible to be the best version of yourself.
Yeah.
And so are you, because they always say the best way to get another job is to have a job, is it situation? Because like I have a friend who's an administrator at the college level and he works, a consulting firm will contact him. Hey, this job's open. Is it just more like that? Like, Lonnie says, hey, the Tigers, I'm a Tigers fan. The Tigers got an opening in their AAA affiliate in Toledo, with the Mud Hens. Is it something like that? Or you're like, hey, always keep your eyes and ears open, but.
So I'm under contract, so I actually can't talk to any teams about jobs.
Oh, you can't. Okay.
Yeah, if any team wanted to talk to me about a job, they'd actually have to reach out to the Red Sox to get permission first.
Got it.
And the Red Sox can actually turn them down. So I do have Lonnie to kind of help out. So she reached out to me a couple of days after the news got out just to ask how I was doing because she figured I would be overwhelmed. It's different. So she reached out on Instagram and we just messaged back and forth for about an hour. And then towards the end of the conversation, she said, yeah, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know. And by that point, I was like, yes, can you actually just represent me, please? Because
wow,
the Red Sox were getting overwhelmed with the media requests. I mean, they were getting, and then I was getting through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, like everybody, every way through my Carol email. People were sending requests. They were sending requests through Carol to talk to me just like any way they could. And I was getting overwhelmed. Carol was getting overwhelmed. So at that point I was like, yeah, can you just, at first it was really just, can you just take care of the media stuff?
Right.
Like even the endorsements, she didn't even tell me she was planning those.
Wow.
Like anytime one of those comes up, it's usually her texting me going, hey, I have great news. I just got you this. I'm like, she just out of the blue. Like I don't ask for any of that stuff. Wow. I was not expecting those endorsements at all.
Man, that's amazing. She's amazing.
Above and beyond. So yeah, like I said, it was really helpful. I mean, even just something as simple as when the Red Sox asked me what size, baseball pants I needed. I'm like, I don't know. All of my past jobs, it's been a D3 school. So you just take whatever's left over.
Right.
And you make it work. So I even texted her, like, what size inseam do you use for a 5-foot person? Like, women don't measure our pants that way.
Especially like, baseball pants. Yeah,
exactly. So she helped me out with that, like just figuring out what size I needed. Like I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh my God.
And then even like the social media stuff, if there's something I think I might want to post, half the time I text her first. I'm like, hey, because now that I realize, people are paying attention, I'm like, okay, I actually need to pay attention to what I post.
Right.
So even something as simple as that, like I'll reach out to her, any ideas that I have during the off season that I want to do. So yeah, I mean, she's been.
That's awesome. Yeah, I know her and Dave are trying to do some in Nashville. And, you know, Dave was on the show, her husband, Dave Stewart, you know, World Series champ. Amazing.
Yeah, I wish I could have gone to the retirement ceremony, but like I said, I was in Salem the last week, their last week of the season.
Yeah, so she had a little surprise. It was a little surprise for him. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I obviously I got the invitation.
Yeah.
And if the Red Sox weren't sending me, because like Worcester and Boston were on my own, but Salem was an actual, you know, Red Sox trip. So if they hadn't been sending me, I definitely would have been there.
Yeah, of course. Oh, that's awesome stuff. All right. Well, let me know about San Diego.
I do the winter meetings to catch up with people in the front office who I don't get to see very often. I'm actually doing a 3-week around the country train trip.
Oh, wow.
And
really?
I was going to be in California at the same time anyway. So I'm like, all right,
wow.
I'll take a detour and stay in San Diego for a week. But otherwise, yeah, I'm literally just going around the country. I'll be in all 4 time zones at least once in those 3 weeks.
Oh man, that's phenomenal.
It just worked out timing wise that I was already planning on being in California. I'm like, all right, I can just take the train quickly, San Diego, stay there for a week, and then head back to Texas.
That's so cool.
Let's do that one on my own for fun.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, we'll talk soon, and enjoy your week off.
Thanks. I'm looking at the sun and the trees right now. I'm like, can't wait to just
go for a hike. Yeah, exactly.
No good hiking in Florida.
Wow, really?
It's trudging through marshland.
Oh,
not my kind of hiking.
No,
my
thank you.
Hiking is like I'm in the middle of the Blue Ridge Mountains right now. That kind of hiking.
Right.
Like up in New Hampshire and Wisconsin.
Yeah, oh yeah.
That's what I wanted. In Florida, like palm trees don't count as trees.
Hey, they got Cowles Mountain here that's right up the road. So if you want to go at like 6 a.m. or whatever, or like when it's sundown, we can go like hike Cowles Mountain. It's a great hike. It's like I don't know, probably an hour up and like half hour down.
Oh, that's not bad at all.
There's Torrey Pines right by the ocean. Torrey Pines has a trail. So yeah, that would be fun.
See if I can fit my hiking boots in.
Yeah.
Kind of limited on a train, but
wait, what size do you wear? You wear like a 5.5 or something?
In women? Yeah.
Yeah, women's. So 7.5 in men's. Ooh, I might have shoes that fit you.
7.5 to an 8.
Yeah.
I wear some men's shoes in 8s.
Okay. I got a lot of shoes. I don't have any Red Sox shoes though.
That's fine.
Yeah.
The Red Sox for a little bit.
Any suggestions for the show to make it better? I try and make it flow well, or pivot if I have to, or have good rapid fire questions, that kind of thing.
No, I think it was good. I mean, I will say the rapid fire questions were definitely different. I've done rapid fire before on a podcast, but never those questions like naming a yoga studio.
She still didn't answer, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I don't like, if I gotta name something, like it has to have meaning. I can't just throw out a random
but it could be the same answer for both because of the significance of 108 in yoga.
Yeah, but I actually have to know the significance.
You have to know, right? Exactly. That's right. Well, that's cool.
If I hadn't watched Perfect Game, I wouldn't have known that either.
I wouldn't have known that either.
Have to come up with something else.
Man. All right, good stuff. All right, well, we'll talk soon, and thanks again. I appreciate it.
All right, no problem.
All right, Bianca, talk to you later.
All right.
All right, bye. And I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Boy, that was phenomenal. Great job, and much love to everyone. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Stop the bullying. Stop the Asian hate. Contact your local and state politicians for any inequalities, for any individual or any group that's being marginalized. Also, everyone, we want to raise awareness for those individuals that are currently imprisoned for non-violent offenses, in particular those with long-term sentences that are disproportionate, in particular to those people in the Black and brown community. And I want to send a shout out to 40tons.co. 40 Tons is a socially conscious cannabis brand, and they're a social enterprise using the regulated cannabis industry to fight injustice, in particular for cannabis prisoners. So check them out again at 40, the number 4, the number 0, tons, plural, 40tons.co, because what they're doing in the cannabis space and being a socially conscious company is truly incredible, and they have my full support. And also wanted to remind all of you, if you're having a tough time, you can always call the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, and that number is 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. And now you can call 988. That's it. All you got to do is dial 988 from any phone. And they're available 24/7, 365 days a year. You can also always check me out on Twitter, Instagram, and on TikTok at Mike Hootner. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors, Breaking Tea, SportRx, PSK Collective, City Lokes, and Moolah Kicks, which you can see right here up on the screen. You can search them online at breakingtea.com, sportrx.com, pskcollective.com, moolahkicks.com, and citylokes.com. And if you'd like to support us at the Sports Deli, we'd love to have you either make a one-time donation or feel free to make a donation monthly, either 99 cents a month, $4.99 a month, or $9.99 a month. If you have questions about that, send me an email again to thesportsdeli@gmail.com, and I will send you the link on how you can do that. You can also find it at the bottom of every podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Link at the bottom to support the show. Please check out our website at thesportsdelipodcast.com. Make sure that we continue the conversations with regards to 3 strikes and you're out and mandatory minimums, especially people that are in jail for nonviolent offenses. So those things need to change. And remember, gents and ladies, please remember to do your monthly self-breast examinations. And remember, guys, this afflicts about 1,500 men annually, with about a third of those resulting in death. So we want to make sure that we do our monthly self-breast examinations, both men and women. And guys, remember to do your self-testicular examinations every month as well. Until next time, remember, it takes a village. For Dr. J and Coach K, I'm Hootie Hoot. This has been a production of Hootie Hoot Productions. Thank you for joining us in the Sports Deli, where everyone deserves a seat at the table. Remember, it takes a village. Much love, everybody.
Well, you're a true American, too, and you got a great show. You look so young, man. How old are you, 35?
Wow, I'm going to tell my daughter you said that one. What about fucking Colin? Why does he not have a fucking job? Because he's still being white-balled. Why is Tom not speaking out about that? He should be his biggest fucking ally. And he hasn't said one fucking thing. Jim Rome in the jungle. It's right here in the Sports Deli, baby. We got some good-ass karma right here. Let's fucking go. Peace.